Oh. Hi there, welcome if you're joining us this afternoon. It's nice to see you all. I hope you're not melting too much. I am, obviously. We'll just wait a couple more minutes for anyone else that's coming to join us, and then we'll get going.
You get the occasional sound of a sort of muffle on my mic, it's because I've got a rotating fan. Every 60 seconds hits me full on in the face.
It's going to be needed in this
Yeah.
heat, definitely. Hi there, if you're just joining us, we're just going to wait a couple more moments to give everyone a chance to come in, and then we will get started. Okay, well, I think we're going to make a start now. So thank you, everybody that's joining us, if you're watching this live on a very hot afternoon. Really appreciate that you're all really, really busy. So whether you're watching this live now or coming back to it at a later date, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us this afternoon. For those of you that I haven't met before, my name's Heather Eggleton, and I'm a consultant here at Hubbub. I've had the pleasure of working with customers for almost 2 years now, and I have a background of almost 20 years in fundraising in both the UK and the US, covering all sorts of sectors of fundraising, but working in the not-for-profit sector, and then most recently at Cheltenham Ladies College before I joined Hubbub. For those of you that aren't yet familiar with Hubbub, hi, thanks very much for coming in and checking us out today. We are a digital fundraising company. That's how we started around 14 years ago. And we started off offering crowdfunding platforms mainly to the higher education sector. And as our technology and our expertise has improved and developed over the years, we now offer a full suite of different digital packages. So whether you're looking to run a giving day or have an all year round online giving presence, so a full suite giving days, we do telephone appeals, stewardship, crowdfunding, giving weeks, and then we match that with our expertise and our consultancy. So really looking at working with you to add value in the best way possible with our platforms, our proven platforms, and our experience. So that's me, that's Hubbub. But most importantly, today I have with me Ant Tomlinson from Cranbrook School. And he's the head of marketing and development there. And for those of you not familiar with Cranbrook, it is a co-educational state school. It's selective grammar, and they also have some boarding there. And I'm sure Ant will be able to fill in anything I've missed in a moment. But Ant himself has had a background in strategic communications and community engagement. And at Cranbrook, he does lead the fundraising, alumni, and marketing functions. So Ant's going to take us through his thoughts and experience on running a giving day, and then we'll open it up to questions. The chat should be open, so please feel free to introduce yourself to each other, leave any questions in there, and we should have plenty of time at the end. But I'm going to hand over to Ant now. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. First thing, just to explain, we've had Ofsted in for the last couple of days, so I'm probably not as prepared for this as I would have liked, but it is what it is. And yeah, so as Heather said, I've not have an education background. I've only been in schools for 3 years, well, this school for 3 years. I've had quite a varied background, so it was wandering into the state education sector was very new to me. I initially started off as a development officer, and then over the sort of course of the 3 years I've been here, my role has changed and enhanced quite a bit. Before kind of going into this, just to explain, I first reached out to Hubbub. It would have been about 2.5 years ago, because I'd come across Giving Days in the States, was very curious to know more about it, how it works, and I found Hubbub online, as you do for a Google search, and we provided them with lots of sort of school related data around fundraising and engagement, and a model was produced in terms of forecasting what we would do as a school if we did an in-house Giving Day campaign, and what we could do if we partnered with Hubbub. Now, at the time, the school decided that actually we'll go in-house and do it ourselves, and then year two we went with Hubbub. So it's actually quite an interesting experience, having tried to do it in-house with a slightly different team than what we have now, and then actually working with Hubbub. So I've kind of got the both sides of the story, so to speak. I'll roll into the presentation. I'll try and be quite quick so we can get to questions, because I'm sure that's probably more valuable to anybody else. But Cranbrook Gives is our repackaged version of Giving Day 1.0. It didn't quite go to plan. These things probably never do when you do it in-house. We learn a lot. There were some positives, there were some negatives, but the end result was actually we decided it'd be better to partner with Hubbub and get some experts in the room and help us out. So as part of partnering with Hubbub, we decided to sort of repackage it, rebrand it, and call it Cranbrook Gives. It just had a nicer sort of feel to what we were trying to accomplish. Similar to what we did in year 1 and 2, it was a 36-hour celebration of generosity and all the things you would associate with a Giving Day. We raised, with gift aid, I think it was just over £18,000, which is being used to build social hubs throughout the campus for students, which was a project that the students and staff themselves had selected. So that was really positive. As I said, we had our first Giving Day in 2024. I'm not going to go into it too much, because the positivity is from the Giving Day in 2025, but it did teach us a lot of incredible lessons. So it wasn't invaluable, but it meant that we had a much better idea of how to approach 2025, and obviously with Heather and team, how to shape that into something bigger and better. In terms of building community, it was the 2024 campaign was brilliant, because it built some trust and some relationships with the parent body. 2024, we only reached out and with the appeal to parents and staff, whereas 2025 we went a bit broader with former parents and alumni. But yeah, we built a community in year 1 that we developed even further into 2025. And as I said, the growth of 2025, I think I'll go into in a bit more detail as we go on. Sorry, my computer's beeping at me. Everything we did in year 1, it was very segmented, because we wanted an aspect of fundraising, an aspect of giving back to the community and doing things with students. So everything was a little bit segmented and a little bit messy, but for 2025, we brought it all together under the banner of Cranbrook Gives. So we still engaged with community initiatives. We had a performance for the elderly and vulnerable, free performance of fame, and a range of other activities to enhance our profile locally within the community. So it wasn't just an ask and hope for the best. We were giving back wherever we could. There was a food bank appeal and a range of other things. Rolling into the next page, please, Heather. Next slide, sorry. Annoyingly, my notes haven't appeared on this one, but yeah, the key steps to our success was starting small. The first Giving Day we had what would I would describe as a dossier of ideas. It was almost like a brain dump of 3 or 4 people who felt what a giving day could look like. There was some lots of different people in the room. There was a governor, there was a trustee, 2 people from development, and a range of different thought thinkers. And what that resulted in was quite a big, messy brain dump. However, we scaled that right back and focused on the things that actually were deliverable, that would benefit a broader group of people, broader group of students. But it didn't stop us from thinking big. We did a lot of really ambitious bits and pieces. Sorry, the school buses start to go past at this time, so you might get interrupted. But we really did focus on momentum and learning both years, 2024 and 2025. Engagement at every step is absolutely key. Our messaging in year 1 was coordinated, but not frequent enough and not clear enough. And partnering with Hubbub really did sort that out. We were very concise with our communications. It was as planned as before, but a hell of a lot more thought went into it, and the communications and the messaging was strong through socials, emails, and all of the channels that we use for engagement. Securing internal buying, I don't know what it's like for other state schools, having not worked in them nor independent, but buying for Giving Day, I found personally a bit of a challenge, whether that be SLT or all the departments, heads of house, heads of departments. A lot of people don't know what a Giving Day is until you do a Giving Day. So getting internal buying is tough, but what I would suggest is not doing these sorts of things over email. You need to get people in a room, sit down and tell them what your ideas are, what you're looking to accomplish and what you're looking to achieve, and they're more inclined to support that, get into sort of the detail and help you with it. And absolutely, point 4, leveraging the right platform. You have to have the right platform. We use for our alumni systems Tech, which is pretty good for that. And serves that purpose really well. But we tried to utilize it for Giving Day 1, and it was a bit clunky, didn't quite work how we wanted it to. We feel we lost out on donations because people couldn't quite figure out how to get through the basket and all that kind of stuff. So picking the right platform in terms of comms, distribution, and donations is really important. So I'm going to sort of break that down a little bit more slide by slide. So we're going to move on, please, Heather. There's a lot to be learned just by doing, I found. So don't expect to be perfect from the outset. It's better to just get on with it and learn about who around you are going to be your allies and potentially not. But don't aim for perfection. Just launch, learn, go again. Having a modest scale is really important. But the priority for me and my recommendation for others that haven't done a Giving Day is to just begin it, then refine it as you go. Focus on momentum. So by starting small, you can concentrate on building excitement and participation. Success builds on itself. So even a humble start can generate stories and enthusiasm and carry on into future campaigns, whether you want to do it annually, every other year, however you choose to do it. Community, again, over perfection, absolutely. So emphasizing community and storytelling over flawless execution is the way to go. You need authentic stories from students, from your alumni, about the projects that you're looking to realize. Finding projects, well, you've got to pick the projects that resonate most with your audience. I mean, that's fairly obvious, but that's really important. And people are more likely to give when they feel connected to the cause, and that's where the compelling narratives are so important. But also thinking longer term. I've just said at the beginning, the priority for me is getting it going and get things started. But at the same time, you need to have an eye on the long term. So we called Giving Day 1 our foundational Giving Day, the sort of the spine of what will be the beginning of a series of Giving Days. And by doing that, having that approach, you're able to set achievable goals, but then also enable it to shape the vision for them year on year. Just gonna have a quick sip of water. We can move on to the next slide, please, Heather. Starting small, thinking big. No, we've done that one. Hang on, let me change slides myself. Yeah, don't separate fundraising from engagement. Every touch point matters. My sort of rationale with an ask is you have to ask someone at least 7 or 8 times before they finally give. So treat every interaction not just as a fundraising ask, but an engagement opportunity. So emails, social media, phone calls, in-person events, anything you can do to leverage engagement is gold dust, because you'll be picking up supporters without even necessarily realizing it. They may not turn into donors off the bat. They may not even donate in that particular giving day, but they will, through stewardship, potentially become donors, either small or high value in the future. So focusing on the community and making sure it just doesn't feel like a transaction. Said before, storytelling is vastly important. You need to keep supporters emotionally invested, but providing updates quite frequently. Heather and I, maybe on day two, had a slight disagreement about the frequency of things, but I know she's right. But at the same time, as a school, felt we were probably just going a little bit too far, so we adapted it slightly and maybe dropped a few comms. But at the same time, we know that advice was sound. We just had to react to how we felt the community were dealing with the volume. But it's absolutely right that the storytelling is key, and keeping people in the loop, letting them know that you're 50% of the way to your goal, or you're 5 away from having your 200 alumni donate targets. Things like that, and a multi-channel approach as well. We tried lots of different mediums through photos and stories, videos, YouTube, email, student-led bits and pieces. We really just went crazy with experimentation to see what kind of stuck, and that really helped with the storytelling as well. And student volunteer involvement. What we found here, and I don't know if that is going to mirror other schools, but we found that students were more willing and interested to get involved with Giving Day. For us, on the second day, we ran what we called the Cranbrook Carousel. So it's a collection of classic, almost primary school village fate type games like egg and spoon race and things like that. We asked staff for help. We had a handful volunteer. We asked parents, probably another handful. We launched it, and within about an hour, it'd been completely taken over by sixth form students, and we were all told to go and have lunch or go and have a cup of tea and have a break. And that was a massive learning for us. We knew the students were excited, and we knew they were keen to help, but until the Giving Day, day 1 and 2, we didn't realize how much they really wanted to get their hands dirty and get involved, and essentially become our advocates as well, because they were going home and telling their parents about it, or there were boarders that were jumping on calls with their parents and explaining what's going on. They became our internal ambassadors of sorts. Roll on to the next slide, please, Heather. Internal buy-in is everything. It is. It's so important. In year 1, our buy-in from SLT was good and strong and supportive. From the rest of the sort of staff body, it was sort of a some were in, some were out. There didn't seem to be much grey. But because of the way the first Giving Day went, we kind of lost a little bit of buy-in, because the execution wasn't to the expectation in terms of funds raised, and the way some things didn't quite go to plan. So we'd lost a little bit of credibility, and buy-in in year 2 was a bit harder. But the impact and the result of everything that happened in year 2 has meant that the buy-in for what we hope to be what will be year 3 is going to be absolutely perfect. But again, even if you can't get everybody on board, and you're never going to, there's always going to be a few rogue governors or SLT members or heads of house or departments that are going to kind of go against the grain a little bit. But at least try and make sure that they know what's happening, even if they don't want any part of it. But educating and exciting staff even if you can't, is worth every effort. Leadership support and cross-department collaboration, kind of one and the same to a degree. Securing visible support from SLT yeah, like I say, for year two it was hard for us, but what we did have is a head who was right behind us from day one all the way through. And he may have been a little bit slow at the traps initially with a few things. He was absolutely outstanding and a brilliant advocate for us. And we had a lot of other people working throughout, support staff and teaching staff, that were absolutely brilliant. And they helped us, essentially became champions for us. So that was absolutely fantastic. Um, Empowering students and staff, I mean, as I've just said, really encouraging teachers and students and support staff to take active roles, particularly in creating content, is brilliant. We found a lot of the sixth formers had some great ideas for content creation, but some of it didn't quite come out as we'd hoped, and we couldn't use it, but their ideas and their enthusiasm was absolutely off the charts. And also taking time to recognize internal contributors. So many of our colleagues came out with some brilliant stuff, and it was so easy to kind of just get overwhelmed with all the ideas firing across. We made a particular effort to make sure everyone that comes to us with ideas were acknowledged, publicly where appropriate, but certainly in person, on an informal basis if need be. And that really helped us get more volunteers on the ground, particularly in day two, because we were up against it somewhat. But I think building those relationships and recognizing the ideas that they had, even though they didn't go forward, they were very, very keen to help, and help us out on the days. I'm going to move on to the next slide, please, Heather. As I say, the platform makes a huge difference. We couldn't have done probably about 80–90% of what we did in 2025 had it not been for the platform. Like I say, in 2024 we tried to utilize Tech without buying or upgrading our package, to get all the necessary Giving Day add-ons, and that really did go against us. So the technology behind any Giving Day could significantly impact not just the pound figures, but also the experience. And the experience is so important, particularly from an engagement point of view. If somebody can't figure something out, they just will go away. And you know, within 3 to 5 seconds, they'll make that decision. So having the right platform, the right information, the way it's all presented is so important. And I've got nothing but praise for Hubbub and their platform. It provided us with the structured framework that we needed. The branding was spot on. All the real-time updates, challenges, the map. I've got a photo of the map on the next slide, actually. So I'll come back to that. But the leaderboards, the donor wall, it's all brilliant. It got so exciting. And I know for a fact, talking to parents, students, everyone, there was a real buzz over the 36 hours. Simply people just pressing refresh constantly, watching the platform. And we couldn't have done that without the Hubbub platform and their experience. And yeah, like I say, it let the platform let us adapt the look and feel so it suited our brand as well, and it got our branding needs across. It felt bespoke. It didn't feel like a generic template, and that was one of the frustrations we had with to a degree, is that it was very fixed parameters and it was hard to personalize, and things got a little bit clunky, and some of the buttons were wrong colors and you couldn't change them and things like that. Totally the opposite with the Hubbub platform. And also actually gave us a lot of confidence. Working with Sam and Heather on building the platform was really straightforward, very quick, and going through live testing and things like that gave us really strong confidence that the platform is going to be absolutely brilliant. And that peace of mind that you need when you're going through what can be a frantic 36 hours, just knowing the platform's there, it's going to work. There aren't going to be any problems. It just gives you that little bit of peace of mind that you really value in those hectic periods. And then on the back of that is the data and insights as well. Again, something we didn't really have from the Tech version. That we continue to, even now. The Giving Day was in March, and we're still looking at the data and the insights that have come from the campaign. It's been so valuable to us. We're approaching things in slightly different ways. As a result of it as well. So my colleague Georgina is out actually today filming students doing thank you videos and stuff. So all of the things that we're these months that have passed, we're still going through the data and trying to adapt how we approach things. in terms of our fundraising strategy. So yeah, when selecting a platform, you've just got to consider not the immediate features, but also the sort of the setting up of the platform working for you during the days when you really need it to, and also then the data in the aftermath to help you evaluate the success. And of course, with every fundraising campaign, there's always going to be a meeting where you sit and present to a range of people what it is that you've accomplished, and you will need to present the data to them. So having that in a quick and easy to use format without having to try and salvage it from different platforms is absolute gold dust. I've kind of rifled through that a lot quicker than I thought. But on the last slide, there is an example of our donor map. So all of the reddy maroon coloured bits were places in the world where we had donations come from. That's kind of as in a nutshell. Has anybody got any questions?
Thank you so much, Ant, for going through that with everybody. Really, really useful and insightful. And I think you definitely picked off some of the really key areas that help to make a successful Giving Day. And congratulations again on your success, because it is a lot of hard work, but it does pay off many times. So I think I've now opened the chat. So if anybody does have any questions at all, or if they would like to share their own experience, that's my son wanting to get in the house when I told him not to come home till 4 o'clock, then please do add it into the chat. I'm just going to answer the door to give people a little second to pop their questions.
Okay. Yeah, I'll jump on the first question while you do that. So for Matthew, did we use match giving? Not exactly. We did challenge funding rather than match funding. So our parent association donated an amount of money for us to use, and it was a case of breaking that down into challenges. So once we hit 50 parents donating, £250 was unlocked, and it just went up in increments. So there was that. We had an alum do the same, a larger amount, and we used him specifically to generate a number of donors for alumni. So it wasn't match funding per se. I would describe it as challenge funding.
Thanks. And were you just picking up on that match funding question?
Yes.
Yeah, brilliant.
What sort of activities did you run during your Giving Day that went down well? Day one, we didn't do any activities as such. A lot of the approach was digital, but for day two, like I say, we had what we called the Cranbrook Carousel, which was a hat tip to an event that used to happen here pre-COVID that we kind of brought back. So it was a lunchtime activity for students. It was actually another fundraiser as well, because they had to pay 50p to play a range of different games. There was a human fruit machine, egg and spoon race, three-legged race, tin can alley, things like that. So it's like almost like a classic primary school fate, really. In year one, it was different. We did a 24-hour cycle challenge. My advice: don't do that. It's horrible. We did it all on bikes in our gym, and they broke. People, it was a sort of a heat wave. Just so many things went wrong, and also the admin was carnage. Like permission slips for children, well, not necessarily children, but sixth formers to come in and do the 1 till 2 a.m. shift and things. It was too much labor. It was fun, it was engaging, and we did enough distance to cycle from Cranbrook to Hong Kong, which was great. But unless you've got a huge amount of resources, people, and time, I would focus more on the sort of the comm strategy, the social strategy. And if you've got the ability to add events in, then absolutely, we're looking at things for next year around doing a ticketed music performance of some kind out on a lawn and other things like that. So we're going to build on what we've done this year. We did strip out some of the things that were too complicated and too ambitious in year one. So yeah.
So Gemma's question with regards to what you'd recommend you're running for your giving day, Ant. So as Ant said, he is having a giving day and again next year, and we're just
Hmm.
about to start to meet on that. But I think the first last year we started about 8 months before, something like that, kind of
Yeah, yeah, it
September
was. It was
time.
about I think it was September, so yeah, 8, 9 months. But we'd, as a team internally, already started talking about it on the back of the first one. But I think you really need to have, before really starting to put everything into a document, is have a really good brain dump at the school as to what you think you want to achieve, um, what kind of funding is needed to realize those dreams, and what kind of activities you want to do. It's so easy to overthink it and overcook it, and end up with all these grand plans, and it's on a 6-page Word document. But once you've kind of gone through it over time, you'll end up probably down to a 2-page Word document, to be honest. But
Yeah.
then, everybody does it differently. Financially, what was more raised? Interestingly, I didn't cover this, and I meant to. In year one, we raised £18,500, which is near as damn it what Hubbub said that we would do with an in-house campaign. Year two, we raised over the 36-hour period 68,000, just over £68,000, including gift aid. However, we then got another £10,000 donation with gift aid 2 months later as a result of it. And also the parent association did a walk from I did it as well, from Canterbury to Cranbrook, which was absolutely epic. And we raised another 20,000, or just over 20,500, in fact, with gift aid. So all in all, 2025 was 101,101 ish. So yeah, quite a leap from 18,500 in the year before. Oh, so that was Gemma's done. Diane, you mentioned trying lots of different media types of videos, such. Was there anything that you found that worked particularly? Yes, video was brilliant for us because it was the most engaged type of media outside of email. But what we did is we embedded a lot of videos into the email. So we'd put a YouTube frame into our email, into our comms, so that even though we were using video on social media anyway, we were doubling up. So when we had a tailored piece of comms going out, we would have then supplementary video for them to watch. And we really thought long and hard about who to have in the videos. So we had the head did one, we had a notable alum, the chair of governors and trustees, the chair of the parent association, a former parent who'd already donated in advance of the campaign, a reasonable amount too. So we got him in to explain why he chose to support school, even though he had no children here anymore. And a current parent as well. So there was, and a staff member who is actually an alum too. So there's a real broad range of different people that are associated with the school one way or another. But yeah, video was king, I would say, of all the things we did. It really changed the landscape versus year one, where it was very sort of Canva created stuff. It wasn't bad, but it didn't quite hit the engagement levels that we needed. The reach wasn't there, and then the message kind of got a little bit lost. Whereas this year, as you can see from the map on the screen, the message went quite far and wide.
That's great. Thank you so much, Ant. Has anybody, if anybody else has got any other questions, then please do pop them in the chat, or I'm sure Ant won't mind you connecting with him on LinkedIn, perhaps. And you can, of course, reach out to myself or any other of the Hubbub team. I did just want to pick up on a couple of things that you mentioned, that which I think is really key, where you're going from one giving day planning onto your next. You mentioned at the moment that Georgina's out there doing some kind of thank you videos, but what other kind of stewardship do you have planned, or opportunities to demonstrate the impact that you've made this year? Because that is really, really key in this.
Yeah, well, we had three. They weren't projects per se. Three funding avenues for people to choose from. One was very alumni centric in digitizing the archive. So we've already allocated, I think, £7,000 towards that. So we're just waiting for the SDS group to come in and collect some boxes, and then we'll be taking photos of that and sharing it with everybody, showing that we're making good on that promise. Another one is we're completely renovating and upgrading an IT suite. That's going to be done over the summer, so there's going to be a delay on that. And we're quite like we wanted to have LED floodlights on our Astro, but the reality of that is the cost is and the money left over they don't align at all. And rather than do another fundraising campaign on the back of a fundraising campaign, we've decided to potentially look at putting like an artificial surface down on a fenced and floodlit mugger instead. So kind of we can't deliver on that one because it's massive and it'll cost a huge amount of money. But actually, we've got a smaller facility that could be just as good, which we do have just about enough left over to realise. But in terms of the stewardship, the reason we've delayed the thank you videos is we were quite mindful that a lot of people probably won't know where the money's going until September. We can tell them, but we won't be able to visualize it for them. We won't be able to take photos and have students on new computers in a refurbished IT suite until September. So we deliberately waited a couple of months before sending out the personalized thank you. So anyone who donated over a certain amount that we considered a high value donor had personalized videos done by our sixth formers, and then everybody else is going to have a kind of more generic recorded video from some key stage 3 students. So it's just keeping those touch points going because we didn't want there to be this big black hole of comms between the giving day and then the IT suite being refurbished, or the new platform for the digitized archive launching and things like that. So we're just sort of drip feeding in little bits of information, even though it's a thank you, it's not information, but it's keeping the momentum going of sorts.
Brilliant, thank you. Well, we haven't got any other questions in the chat at the moment. So thank you again so much for all of you for attending. As I say, whether you're watching this live or on demand, we really, really appreciate you taking the time out to join us. And a huge, huge thank you, Ant, for taking the time to join us today and to prepare what you were going to say. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So this is a free series of webinars. We are going to take probably a little bit of a break over the summer, but do keep an eye out because we've got some exciting things coming up in the autumn. And if you want to reach out to talk about anything that Ant has mentioned today, or working with us in any shape or form across your whole kind of regular giving program, then please do. But thank you once again for all taking the time, and I hope to get to meet you soon. Thank you so much.